for people who don't know, you're born and raised in Northern California, born in Tracy, which is in the East Bay. It's quite a ways out east of Oakland and Santa Clara and San Jose and all that. And you've lived your whole life out there. My understanding is you played some other sports. Cricket is obviously your passion right now. But at what point did you get introduced to cricket, whether it was from watching on TV or playing wise? What was your earliest memory of cricket?
So I actually started playing cricket because of my brother and my dad. After moving out of Tracy, we moved to Dublin, and that's just like where cricket started to grow. And Ramesh Amadi, he was also like one of the first people like with my dad, and like there were like a batch of like uncles who all like set it up. But I started playing cricket because my dad was dropping my brother off at cricket practice, and my mom was home, and we were doing math homework together, and I just wanted to get out of it. So I was like, you know what, dad, like I'll come, like I'll drop like my brother at practice with you just to get out of math homework. And then I saw like him practicing, and then there was also like a nearby game going on. Like there was like a small section, and then there was a game going on. I think one of my first questions, I was like looking at the game, I was like, what is that guy doing? And I think I was talking about wicket keeping to my dad. So that's it's kind of nice. But no, I started playing cricket. My brother, my family is a really big asset. My mom, dad, and my brother. I started playing. My dad set up nets in my garage first, and then he bought this tiny bowling machine, like the circle one, and he just like feed it in. We started playing with like tennis balls and baseballs and everything. And then my brother and my dad set up like actual like nets, like a cage in my backyard, and that's where I spend like most of my time.
So how old were you when this began?
I was 9 at the time.
You're 15 now. So in
Yeah.
just 6 years or 5 years, if you go back to last summer, really, which is when you made your debut for the women, just 5 years, that's all it took to get into the women's team. That's a pretty remarkable journey. Before you got introduced to cricket, what else were you involved with to get to the point where you can make such a quick transition? Because I think people would have a hard time believing that you didn't have any athletic skills before that, and you just walked straight into cricket, and boom, 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 boom. You're already this good. So, what other things were you doing in youth sports and in and around the East Bay to develop a passion for sports in general before you started to kind of have your attention drawn into cricket?
Everything my brother did, basically I did. So I think I did tennis at one point. I did swimming. I did basketball. I went to a basketball camp and I didn't shoot a single hoop the whole entire time. I was so bad at it. And then for a while after that, I was a goalie in soccer. And then from there, I transitioned to cricket. And I did all these sports because I was just following my brother's paths. So,
And your brother's name is Anish.
yeah.
How much is he a factor in your current level of training? I know he's at college, he's at Arizona State, but how much of an influence is he in your modern activities to be on the scene?
No, a lot of what I am now, it's definitely because my brother was a huge part of my cricket life. Even like he's here for summer now, but even before I went over to Trinidad, like he was dropping me at practices. He was giving me his own throwdowns. He hasn't played cricket in a while, but he started bowling just so I could face more bowlers. But a lot of my cricket is definitely because of him, and I wouldn't be here without my brother.
What is the climate like in terms of when you were first getting involved for women's cricket and girls junior cricket? I know now it's thriving in the Bay
Yeah.
Area, but 6, 7 years ago, whether in the Bay Area or anywhere else in the country, there was not an awful lot of women's cricket and especially junior girls cricket. And your story is similar to quite a number of stories I've heard from other girls and other players where they had an older brother or some other sibling or family member. Some of it might have been their dad, but in some cases it's an older brother. Isani Bagel is an example that her brother Batsa was playing for the under 19 USA men's team. And so they had some sort of role model or influence just within their own family, but there were not really broad scale junior opportunities for women or opportunities for girls, females, period. So when you first started, did you get people kind of looking at you like, who is this girl? Why is she playing? I
Yeah.
mean, were you basically, one of a handful or the only one? Or, again, kind of set the scene. What was the atmosphere like when you were first trying to get involved as a girl playing locally there compared to other sports where, yeah, there's thriving girls soccer, thriving girls
Yeah.
basketball. You're playing in a team full of girls, whereas cricket, I'd imagine that's not necessarily the case.
I was actually, I think the first girl. to play cricket in, like, the Tri-Valley in the Bay Area, but no, I definitely didn't have a lot of friends back then. A lot of the guys, hated me, and a lot like, parents and, like, all the uncles and, all the guys are like, "Why is she keeping?" And they always wanna, like, push me down a bit, but I also wouldn't be here without them because I kinda, kinda, like, fired me up, if you wanna say that. But there weren't a lot of girls, so whatever opportunity for women's cricket that was there or girls' cricket, it was a really big thing back then. And since she lives pretty nearby, and I met her when I was 9 actually, and I started doing keeping with her and knowing her, and then going to other like tournaments like GCL with Nadia, like and Joan and Joy, that really showed us like there is a future for cricket and just to keep pushing because at the time there wasn't much.
So
Yeah.
Sindhu Sriharsha, you've known her since you were 9.
Yeah, I started training with her, like, since I was 9. She used to give me, like, throwdowns, in my house. Like, she used to coach me because she's obviously a keeper, and she and my dad, like, helped turn me into a keeper. So a lot of, like, my keeping all, like, goes to her. But there were times in, like, the winter where it would be so cold and we would be shivering, wearing, like, 2 layers of jackets, wearing a beanie, but she would still, like, persist and, like, teach me my basics, and my cricket was shaped because of that.